The movie opens in 1898 in the Montana Territory. Once a legendary gunslinger, Colton Briggs has been reformed by his wife Ruth. Now a family man, he runs a general store and small farm while raising their 12-year-old daughter, Brooke. One morning, Ruth asks Colton to walk Brooke to school since she has too many chores. Colton refuses at first, saying men don't walk children to school, but Ruth insists they need more time together, so he reluctantly agrees. On the way, Brooke suggests riding the horse, but Colton declines, saying there's no time to turn back. At school, they learn the teacher is sick and class is canceled. Colton tells Brooke to walk home alone, but she reminds him her mother won't allow it, so he takes her with him to the store. There, Jeffries, a talkative customer, comes in. Colton hides his irritation and asks what he wants. After some chatter, Jeffries asks for flour. While Colton goes upstairs, Jeffries tries to steal jelly beans, unaware Brooke sees him. Embarrassed, he puts them back and signals her to stay quiet. After he leaves, Brooke tells Colton what happened, noting Jeffries' dirty hands. Meanwhile, at home, Ruth is approached by 4 men, led by James McCallister, who politely introduces himself and claims they're lost. She directs them to the nearest town, but their intentions soon turn dark. When they advance, Ruth flees to the barn. The men follow. Eustice grows nervous, warning they should leave before the marshal catches up, but Boots silences him. Suddenly, Ruth bursts out on horseback, but James shoots the horse down, sending her crashing to the ground before capturing her. Noticing a saddle marked Colton Briggs, James asks if Ruth is his wife. Eustice recognizes the name, realizing they've stirred the devil himself. Unshaken, James declares he owes Colton a debt. When Briggs and Brooke return, they find strangers in their home. Marshal Franklin Jarrett steps forward, stunned to discover Colton has a family. He tells Briggs that Ruth was murdered by the men they're after. Briggs digs Ruth's grave alone, refusing help from the posse. Jarrett comforts Brooke, revealing he once knew her father as the coldest killer he ever met, but praises her mother for changing him into a family man. Brooke quietly says she's never seen her father carry a gun, then asks if he can still be a good man without his mother. Jarrett has no answer. After Colton finishes burying Ruth, Marshal Jarrett approaches and warns him not to let Brooke see the mess in the barn. Colton demands the killer's names and destination, but Jarrett refuses, saying the world is better without the old Colton Briggs. He reminds him his daughter needs a father, promising the posse will catch and hang the murderer. When they leave, Briggs enters the barn and finds a bloody palm print on Ruth's saddle. Following another smear, he discovers words scrawled on the wall in her blood. I owe you more. That night, Colton retrieves his old gun from a box. Tormented, he points it at his sleeping daughter, but she stirs and says, "Mama wouldn't like you pointing a gun at me." He lowers the weapon, and she drifts back to sleep. Later, he wakes her and tells her to get ready. Before leaving, he burns the house and barn. The next day, as they ride out, Brooke asks why he destroyed everything. Colton answers they can never go back, but once it's over, he'll build a new life and replace all she lost in the fire. She quietly replies, "Except Mama." Later, as they rest, Colton tells her they'll eat and sleep 30 minutes every 4 hours. Brooke protests the killers will get farther away, but he explains it's useless to arrive half-dead or on dead horses. On the trail through the canyon, Marshal Jarrett wonders why Brooke shows no emotion after losing her mother. His deputy, Mark, suggests she might be in shock or simply too young to understand. Suddenly, James and his gang ambush them from the hills, killing several men. Mistakenly believing Colton rides with the posse, James tells his men they'll recognize him when they see him, then retreats. Elsewhere, Colton wakes Brooke, telling her he heard gunfire across the canyon 10 minutes earlier. When she asks why he didn't wake her sooner, he replies calmly there's no rush, they'll find out soon enough. Meanwhile, James beats Boots for firing too early. The plan was to shoot the marshal first, but Boots' mistake allowed the lawman to take cover. Later, Colton hears a rider approaching and prepares to kill for the horse. Brooke protests, saying it could be a lawman and her mother wouldn't approve. She asks if there's another way. Reluctantly, Colton agrees, telling her to distract the rider by crying. When she admits she doesn't know how, he coldly tells her she must learn if she wants to survive in this world. Brooke forces herself to cry without emotion as the wounded deputy Mark rides up. Colton pulls a gun on him. Using Mark as bait, Colton ambushes Marshal Jarrett and another wounded man, Greg. At gunpoint, Brooke asks Greg to hand over his weapon. He refuses, threatening to blow her brains out. As he menaces Colton, Brooke suddenly stomps his injured leg, forcing him to drop the gun, which she seizes. After Colton ties them up, Marshal Jarrett admits he understands his grief, but warns that attacking a U.S. Marshal is a serious mistake. Colton snaps back that Jarrett kept the killer's names from him. Jarrett coldly warns that if anything happens to his men, he'll hunt Colton down. Appearing to torture Mark, Colton forces Jarrett to reveal the truth. The killer is James McCallister with 3 men. Rumor is James promised them a share of a lockbox if they helped him escape Powell County Prison. They're now headed for Colorado to meet a girl in Santa Rosa. To teach Brooke, Colton tends Mark's gunshot wound. He digs the bullet from his arm, then sears it with hot iron, telling her the bullet was poisoning him. Brooke wrinkled her nose at the smell, comparing it to her mother's rabbit stew, and said it makes her hungry. Turning back to Jarrett, Colton warns that if the marshal lied, he'll return and kill them all. He then takes their horses, but insists he isn't a thief. He'll leave the horses tied up in Santa Rosa. Meanwhile, James keeps his word as he and his men dig up the lockbox, only to find it filled with Mexican money. When they protest, James pulls a gun on them, saying if he meant to cheat them, they'd already be dead. He orders them to lay low for a year, promising the haul is enough to live like kings. When Boots asks about Briggs, James replies they won't chase him, Briggs will come to them. With a cold smile, he says his plan is already in motion. Arriving in Santa Rosa, the gang settles in. Eustice worries about the sheriff, but James says he already cut the telegraph line, buying them 4 days before news spreads. He orders his men to stand guard in 4-hour shifts. That night, as Colton and Brooke rest, she asks if he truly changed after meeting her mother. Colton admits he was always cold, fearless, and emotionless. He didn't even cry at his own mother's funeral. But meeting Ruth awakened something new: fear. Fear of losing her, fear of not being loved. For the first time, he truly loved someone. Brooke quietly confesses she felt nothing when her mother died, only emptiness. Colton comforts her, saying part of him died too, and the pain never leaves. When she asks who killed her mother, he admits he doesn't know James McCallister. Brooke then asks to learn how to use a gun. Colton agrees. By morning, Brooke practices with a rifle but misses every shot, then asks for a pistol instead. Outside Santa Rosa, Colton studies the single road in, knowing James will be watching everyone who enters. He notes that they know him, but he doesn't know them. Brooke suggests she should go instead, since they don't know her. Following Colton's instructions, Brooke rides into town on horseback, heads straight to the mercantile, buys supplies, and casually asks if any riders had passed through. But when she steps back outside, James and his men are already waiting for her, having recognized the saddle. They seize Brooke and drag her into the saloon. James offers her food, which she refuses, then orders Boots and Eustice to set an ambush for Colton. James turns to Brooke and tells her the truth. 20 years ago, his father, Walter McCallister, a notorious bandit, tried to stop his brother's execution. A bloody shootout followed and Walter was killed, leaving young James the only survivor, along with Colton Briggs, who simply mounted his horse and rode away. As James talks to Brooke, he fills the lockbox with newspaper, hiding the real money in his saddlebags. Outside, Big Mike spots Colton approaching and hides inside a building. Anticipating the ambush, Colton sneaks in after him and stabs him. Soon after, he guns down Boots, but takes a hit from Eustice. James drags Brooke outside at gunpoint while Eustice boasts that Colton's been shot, though only grazed. He sends 2 more men to capture Colton alive, but Colton kills them both. Calling out, James challenges him to settle things the old way, while Eustice keeps Brooke at gunpoint. Wounded, Colton steps out. James asks if he remembers him, but Colton doesn't. Stung, James declares Colton has 2 choices. He can either kill him, at which point Brooke will die, or he can fend for himself. Colton makes his choice. He shoots Eustice, freeing Brooke. In the same instant, James fires into Colton's chest. As James gloats over killing the legendary Colton Briggs, Brooke picks up her father's gun and avenges him with 2 bullets, one in the chest and one clean between the eyes. In his final moments, Colton gives Brooke his locket with Ruth's picture, whispering that her mother will guide her. Brooke weeps as he dies. Later, Marshal Jarrett and his men arrive to collect the bodies. A corporal recovers the lockbox from the saloon, but James's saddlebags remain hidden. Jarrett agrees with Brooke to tell the world Colton died a hero, taking down the gang. In return, he'll keep the gang's money, never realizing the real fortune is still in those saddlebags. As he rides off, Brooke quietly asks a woman to fetch James's saddlebags from inside, then smiles. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.